To deal with the zombie outbreak, the government established a secure shelter, but the only way to reach it was by subway. As a result, a massive crowd gathered on the platform. When the train arrived, the excited crowd surged forward, pushing so hard that people at the front were shoved onto the tracks. But at that point, no one cared. In the struggle to survive, civility and order had already begun to collapse. Most people had boarded the train. A woman happened to be the very last one. The passengers shouted for her to hurry up and get on. Just as she was about to step inside, an elderly man and his grandson arrived on the platform. Seeing the old man and the child helpless and out of breath, the woman felt a surge of compassion. After a moment of hesitation, she gave up her spot, and with it, her chance to live, for the sake of the child. She could not have known that this single act of kindness would save her life, but doom the boy. As the train doors began to close, the grandfather anxiously gave instructions to his grandson through the glass. The woman gently reassured him, saying there was no need to worry, but before she could finish her sentence, she froze. After the train departed, they realized something horrifying. There were zombies in the rear cars. Panic-stricken, the old man leapt onto the tracks in a desperate attempt to chase the train. The woman ran after him, but just then, a deafening roar echoed behind her. Another train was arriving. As the train slowed to a stop, she dashed forward and pulled the fallen grandfather off the tracks. Before they could turn around, the train started moving again. They had no choice but to press themselves against the wall to stay safe. But when the woman glanced down, she noticed something that chilled her to the bone, a bite mark on the old man's leg. Alarmed, she immediately tried to pull her hand away. But no matter how hard she struggled, the old man's grip was like iron. She could not break free. She had no choice but to wait until the train passed. When she looked up, she was terrified. The entire train was filled with zombies. This was a train straight out of hell. The very next second, the grandfather suddenly transformed. He turned his head and lunged at her with his mouth wide open. Fortunately, the woman's arms were long enough. Crying and screaming, she pushed him away and held him at a distance. In that critical moment, she came up with a plan. She slammed his head against the fast-moving train. The plan worked. The violent friction overwhelmed the zombie, and he stopped attacking. As the train roared off into the distance, the woman finally escaped death. Knowing the platform was likely already overrun, she turned and headed toward the emergency access door in the subway tunnel. She grabbed the handle and pulled it open only to stop cold, eyes wide with shock. What exactly was waiting behind that door?